You got to be able to have people talk crazy about you.
To a fight in front of the world. What happened? No, it wasn't a fight. It was just one person slapping the taste out of the other one's mouth.
When the devil comes at you, maybe it's because you're trying to do something right.
It's not a secret that Will Smith's reputation went down the drain after that infamous episode at Oscars last year. But apparently, the actor cannot cope with the consequences of his own actions. And he keeps getting into spats with all celebs who are recalling this incident and talk about him as a villain in the story. And it seems like the actor has some nerve because this time, he confronted nonetheless legendary Denzel Washington for publicly calling Will devil. Is that a start of another feud in the industry over a disrespectful statement?
In this business, you got to be able to have people disrespecting you.
Let's find out. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Celeb Life Channel. So, the 94th Academy Awards ceremony remains one of the most memorable events in the show business in the past few years, mainly due to one infamous episode involving actor Will Smith and comedian Chris Rock.
Oh, wow! Wow!
And ever since that happened, many high-profile people publicly expressed their thoughts on this incident. However, none of them were as bold as Denzel Washington. When attending the International Leadership Summit, two-time Oscar winner Denzel Washington participated in a masterclass session where he was asked by the host about his role in the aftermath of Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. Denzel weighed his words before answering and then used a classic saying as a response.
There's a saying, when the devil ignores you, then you know you're doing something wrong.
Smith's public fallout over the slap has turned into the biggest crisis of his career. And it seems like the Oscar-winning actor is not happy that people keep dragging this situation to the light over and over again, and most importantly, calling him names, especially considering the fact that Smith published a video with his public apologies to Rock.
Chris, I apologize to you.
But according to Denzel, something possessed Will Smith that night in the iconic Dolby Theater, and he believes that the actor's behavior was way out of line. And as Denzel said, it's obvious that Smith needed some kind of help to go through this period. And although Denzel wished Smith nothing but peace of mind, it seems like Will is so outraged with anyone who ever mentions this ugly moment of his career that he blows it out of proportion. However, many other famous people agree with Washington and even say that Will Smith finally showed his true nature. During one of his performances, comedian Dave Chappelle stated that Smith finally dropped his mask of perfection. As the comedian said, Will did the impression of a perfect person for 30 years. He ripped his mask off and showed us he was as ugly as the rest of us, whatever the consequences are. I hope he doesn't put his mask back on again and lets his real face breathe. And apparently, Will is more than eager to show the industry and many people who still keep talking about this incident and calling him names who he really is. And guys, it seems like he, the actor, has just got started his campaign against everyone who keeps dragging his name through the mud. And Dave says, it's about time for everyone to see Will's devilish nature.
Can we all just say that we've seen it coming? Were you surprised? It's like when that guy threw that banana at me. Do you think I was surprised?
Feels like with every new attempt to help Will Smith come back to the right track, he is getting more and more annoyed at the people who wish him well. And Denzel Washington is actually one of them because he was there right after the incident. And according to Denzel, during a commercial break at Oscars 2022, he pulled Smith aside and comforted him shortly after the slap. After Will himself was so thankful that he mentioned Denzel a few moments later in his speech.
He said to me a few minutes ago, he said, at your highest moment, be careful, that's when the devil comes for you.
Apparently, at that moment, Will Smith was confident that Denzel Washington is on his side, and he never suspected his fellow celebrity to discuss his persona in such a way, saying that Will's delivish nature took over his reasoning that night.
For whatever reason, the devil got a hold of him, that circumstance. That night.
As many people believe, Will became too vulnerable and sensible to any kind of criticism that surrounds that infamous episode. And apparently, he can't even tell right from wrong when it comes to his offensive actions during the ceremony. And every mention of that night makes the actor go nuts. As one person commented, how are you going to act like a punk and slap a man over words? Then get an attitude over people saying their piece about it. Will needs to leave the drugs alone. And another user added, Will Smith deserves any criticism he receives. The fact that he's so insulted by any little comment proves his arrogance and his inability to accept the consequences of his actions. It's obvious that Will Smith's perfect image had been ruined that night after he walked to the stage to slap Chris Rock, and ever since that moment, the actor believes that every person in Hollywood sees him as a savage who needs to be isolated from the public eye. It didn't add to Will's self-confidence when Denzel mentioned how glad he was having many people around who could stop Will from another episode.
People there, not just me, but others in the Gap, Tyler Perry, came right immediately right over there with me. And
The whole experience was shocking to the core, not only to the Academy Awards attenders, but the world as well, because it has never been supposed to be a night of violence. Of course, since such scandals have never happened before, Will Smith is the first to deal with the consequences of his own actions, and apparently, judging by his reaction, he doesn't take the whole thing well and keeps confronting everyone who dares to picture him in a bad light. Somehow, the actor keeps forgetting who is the real victim of this story.
The people I didn't hurt, it still hurts. I got summertime ringing in my ears.
However, as Will Smith believes, the comedian got his well-deserved revenge during his stand-up comedy special, Selective Outrage, where he openly talked about the slap and even made a few jabs at the actor. During his performance, Rock reflected on possible reasons of Will's violent behavior, and he came to the conclusion that it was Will's wife, Jada, who woke the devil inside this man by her never-ending cheating. As Rock stated, Will Smith practices selective outrage. Everybody knows what the F happened. Everybody who really knows I had nothing to do with that stuff. But it seems like Will is tired to see his honest name being dragged through the mud by basically everyone, and he won't allow anyone else in the show business speak badly about him and think of the actor as a savage and devil.
People disrespecting you. And you gotta smile and you gotta pretend like that's okay.
It's no wonder that Will Smith is emotionally shattered by what's happening to him, career and reputation, and is eager to accuse every single person of disrespecting him. There have been many high-profile celebs who openly condemned both Hollywood and Will, like Jim Carrey, who slammed the industry and its people for giving Smith a standing ovation following his Best Actor win at the same Academy Awards. The Canadian comedian said he was sickened by the round of applause the actor received and claimed that he should have been escorted out instead for his violence.
I was sickened. I was sickened by the standing ovation. I felt like Hollywood is just spineless, en masse.
Apparently, every single statement hurts Will Smith too much, and now it came to that point that he doesn't even try to find out who is wishing him well and who is against him. It seems like he's too unstable to think reasonably, and when someone like Denzel Washington, a person with great influence and respect, begins mentioning Smith's name along with some devilish doings, it's clear that Will doesn't want this kind of comparison. Some people think that Will takes everything too close to his heart, but as it turns out, the Oscar-winning actor is fed with the whole incident, considering he had expressed sincere regret and remorse about his wrongdoing.
There is no part of me that thinks that was the right way to behave.
However, as Will Smith says, Denzel's comparison was a pure nightmare, and it may not serve him well in future, especially considering the fact that the actor had already suffered consequences for his actions and received a 10-year ban from the Academy Awards. As many fans say, Denzel Washington obviously didn't mean anything malicious, and his words were filled with love and sympathy for Will. But as we all know, Hollywood is full of misinterpretations, and apparently, this is exactly what happened to Will Smith. While the social media is discussing the potential confrontation, the majority believes that Will Smith is only digging his own grave by not thinking rationally and verbally, attacking everyone who wishes him well. As one person commented, this was the same thing that Denzel said to Will, which he himself repeated, "I love Will, but his life is going down the drain. I wish we would come together and support him." And another user added, "I was hurt and heartbroken after the incident." This incident has many ramifications for the community. The fact is Will is badly damaged and hurt. I do support Chris, but Will needs a lot of help. Well, it seems that only time can heal Will's wounds, but I don't know what kind of bandage he needs to use to mend his image and reputation at the moment, especially if he keeps attacking people like that. And what do you think about this, guys? Is Will overreacting again? Or does he have the right to confront other people for their seemingly offensive and hurtful statements? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'm eager to know what you're thinking. And in the meantime, check my other videos about the secret lives of Hollywood celebs. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned, and I promise to be back very soon.